Welcome to Bart's Gaming Corner. I'm Bart, and this is Let's Play Pillar of Eternity, the first. This is part 3, and we were on our way to the Gilded Vale. Let me adjust the sound levels a little bit.
I shall.
And let's get going. Pick up that river reed. It's a very melancholy environment in this game, but I like it. And then I'm added to the Gilded Vale. Quest updated, the Gilded Vale. Okay, let's read it. The Gilded Vale. Gilded Vale is said to be one of the most prosperous villages in the Deerwood, full of opportunities for work and wealth. I was told they're offering land to new settlers. Okay. Like Hammer Smithy, south. Okay. Looks a bit dreary actually, but oh. That looks like a scene from The Witcher 3.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale. You'll be pleased to know that we've had some recent vacancies here.
He glances at the gnarled, leafless monstrosity of a tree next to him. Do you welcome everyone this way? The only answer you hear is the buzzing of flies from the tree.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever sired a hollowborn child?
A hollowborn child?
An infant born without a soul, of course. Lord Radric has made it his first priority to eliminate this scourge from our village. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst.
He steps to the side and inclines his head ever so slightly toward the deformed tree.
His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn just southwest of here.
You said something about Hollowborn and Waitwin's legacy before. He blinks. I forget you foreigners do not have this curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Deerwood for almost 15 years now. He lowers his voice to a whisper. Children born without souls. He shakes his head. Pitiful, dumb things that breathe, barely, but do not truly live. Some say the Hollowborn are a disease. Some say they are punishment from the gods. He raises his empty hands. In truth, no one knows, but they began spreading after the Saints' War, and so the name Waitwin's legacy struck in honor of that foul, blasphemous pretender. His voice shakes with vitriol. I see. But Radric's decrees may seem strict at times, but he has our best interests at heart. He nods. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understand our rules. I don't trust this guy really about my disease. Before I got here, I saw several people conducting a strange ceremony near some ruins. He regards you carefully. You want to mind where you mention that trespassing in Ingwithan ruins is illegal, not to mention dangerous. You probably saw someone attempting some new ritual to appease the gods. People will try anything these days. Bareth have mercy, will we certainly have. I don't think so, just as they finished there was a biowack. He polishes his spectacles on his sleeve. If you'd been that close to your biowack, you wouldn't be standing here. Okay. I've been feeling strange ever since a close call with a biowack. Is there someone in town who could help?
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Radric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all. But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit. My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
Goodbye.
Keep out of...
Listen!
2 tolls. Let that be the last. 3. Gods have mercy. It seems your arrival is ill-timed. 3 bells toll only for the death of a Radric. I fear Lord Radric's heir is lost, or is Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
What do you mean? You come to us at the time of mourning. Legacy has struck at the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Bareth must be redoubled. It sets a steady gaze on you. What happened? He shrugs one bony shoulder. I will know more details when the messengers arrive. The vagaries of childbirth, perhaps, but it is not your concern. Does this affect the Lord's offer to new settlers? I can be sure of nothing right now. I'd advise you to get some rest. The inn or a stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I will know more soon enough. Don't threaten me, little man. It is no threat, only a warning. Lord Radric will tolerate no threats to his kin or those who live upon his lands. Grief will not make him more docile. Farewell. Okay. Gilded Vale. Magistrate Urgiat suggested that I have a rest at the inn while he looks into the matter of finding me a place to stay. Everything is at a standstill while he waits word of the fate of Lord Radric's baby. Seems I've little choice but to wait and see what comes of it. Seek help for your condition. This is not the illness that struck me at the wagon. This is something new. Infliction of the mind bats. With luck, someone in Gilded Vale will know what to do. The magistrate advised me to get some rest while I wait for permanent accommodations. That may be the best thing to put an end to this illness as well. Okay. Scattered between the roots are bracelets of twine and bead, with flowers and notes half erased by the rains. Yeah. Hey there.
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Strange way to talk about your dead. He looks up at the tree and braves out. Half the town's up there now, it seems like. No right way to talk about it. I'm looking for someone who can help me feel better. He gives an understanding nod as he takes a long drag from his pipe. My condolences. He exhales and turns his attention away, watching the village around him. Well, very friendly dude. Blood mass. Yeah. Temple of Theophis. Theophis. There, Let's go to the inn first. You see 4 people gathered by the door to the inn. Their raised voices and chopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hand for calms. His face is partly obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggests an elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
Everyone calm down, whatever this is about, I'm sure it's an overreaction. One of the other men glares at the hooded elf. His eyes are red from drink, but his gaze is focused. We're humble folk, but we're no fools. Not like he thinks, mocking us while he shelters in our village. We don't take to that kind of talk from foreigners, especially not adherents.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
Fie, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
Ah, he talks like Shrek.
I'll cut that barrel-looking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarreled.
That's where you're wrong.
Back down, all of you. This is absurd. No one gives the orders, foreigner. Sounds suspiciously like you're defending him. Oh, that didn't turn out well. As the last of the attackers falls, the elf turns to you, the tension almost gone from his smooth face.
Not quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
You mean for slaughtering them? You're welcome.
Well, that is one way of putting it.
Straightens his hood, and you note the remains of fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with the dirt of many months' travel, but the leatherwork beneath it is sturdy and fine.
Well, I suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco. Aloth Corvusser, at your service.
Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm a wizard by training, and an adventurer by necessity. I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire. Both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I am grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land. And how exactly did you come to be here?
I was struggling with a caravan, but we were separated near some ruins.
In Griffin Ruins? Those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. Half the locals would arrest you for trespassing, and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
Biawak.
You survived? I thought such a thing was impossible. seems you either have a knack for timing or the favor of the gods.
Just how did you manage to cross those three drunks?
I'm afraid that was a matter of misunderstandings and mistranslations. It doesn't help that people in these parts remember their war with Adir like it was yesterday.
You did tell that one man to go fuck his sister. Ah, that. Clears his throat and adjusts his sleeves. As I tried to tell them, they misheard me. Happens all too easily after a few pints, and the accent doesn't help. They heard the same thing. For just a moment he looks as he's about to say something else. His expression brightens with mischief. But before he can speak, he forces a tight smile, biting his lips so hard you expect to see blood. Finally his face relaxes and he shakes his head. I should speak more clearly next time. My apologies. What are you doing in Gilded Vale?
An excellent question. I came looking for fresh air and cheap land. Instead, the magistrate gave me directions to the inn and a story about the local lord's expected wife. But I take it that's a familiar tale.
And you? I've been experiencing strange things of late. I'm looking for an expert on souls.
Indeed. The local lord has searched far and wide for similar specialists. He has rid himself of them almost as desperately.
He nods at the gnarled old tree in the center of town. His darting glance takes in the tumble-down buildings and the follow rock-strewn fields. I expect that such expertise would be best sought elsewhere. You don't exactly look like a settler.
Begging your pardon, but neither do you. Yet, circumstances can find a person in the strangest of places.
I should get going.
As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn. They say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
Well, could always use a wizard. So do I. Let's go then.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
Okay. Well, got my first official party member, Elf. And some stuff. Let's see. It's Elf's abilities. Well, Might 12, dexterity, intellect, yes. First level, well, his second level, I should think.
Yes?
Okay, here are spells. This is first level. Arcane Assault, this is one of his talents. No second, oh, combat, he's got second. Yeah, let's go to the inn. Let's all go to the lobby.
I shall.
Pasca.
How do you do?
Oh, greetings and welcome to the Blackhound Inn. The innkeeper bows her head curtly. Please sit where you like. Would you like a drink or a room? We have 2 available at the moment. I'm afraid we can't offer much by the way of a good meal today. She sighs. Unless you're fond of cold porridge. Well, let's ask some questions first. I could use some reliable help. Do you know of anyone looking for work? Oh well, I wouldn't say I can speak from experience, but we do have certain sorts coming by looking for work from time to time. If you want to hire someone on, I'd be happy to send them your way. Let me see what I have to work with. Oh yes, you can hire adventurers, but you can either recruit adventurers or well, recruit them on your way, like we did with Elf. And I think no, I don't want to hire an extra adventurer at the moment. I don't have that much cash
Good day to you.
as well. I'd like to know more about the Black Hound. Really? Well, let me see. The actual building's been here for years, but the Black Hound fairly new. We got a lot of new faces in here too. Fewer than we used to, I'll admit. I used to work the tables, actually, until the old owner up and left. Nobody's sure what happened to him. Even left this poor hound behind. That's the name, see? The Black Hound. Still sitting upstairs, pining after him. Poor old girl. Place ended up in my hands somehow. She laughs. My very own inn. A lot of hard work involved, but it's been worth it so far. Let's see what you have for sale. Olaf opens his mouth but seems to reconsider. Nothing for me, thanks. Of course, we're running a little bit short on goods these days, but we ought to have more soon. Grain, camping supplies. Okay, you can use. Okay, it's handy for a fight. Milk. Especially milk from a dairy cow. Food.
Hail and well met.
You only serve porridge? Olaf looks at you and shakes his head quickly. It isn't by choice, I assure you. We used to serve some of the finest meals in the Deerwood. We had a damnable run of luck, is all. It's been a bad season for the crops and we're running low on supplies. Send Tenfrith up north to stock up. Tenfrith's our cook, you see, an artist with a good roast, but it's been days since he was supposed to return and we haven't seen any sign of him. Besides again, I've only just taken over from the last owner myself. I don't know what I'll do if he doesn't turn up. Well, that sounds like a quest. I could try to find him for you. Really? Her face brightens. I'd be grateful to you if you did. He was traveling through the Valewood. Oh, missed him. Probably nothing, a broken wheel maybe, but I do worry. You see him safely home and I think everyone here in the world would sing your praises. Nobody much likes my porridge. Let's go sleep. I'd like a room, please. Of course, we kept him nice and tidy. Well, since our funds are a little bit low at the moment, we're gonna sleep in the common room. Just in the common room for 0 copper, yes. Nice looking animation. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of Gilded Vale's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind and the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman, whose face has shriveled inward like mouldering fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mere inches from your face. Suddenly her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they are empty. Behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air she speaks a word. Archer! You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with a new, queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. Right, okay. Well, I'll get another quest. Yeah. Use those. Balance of a crucible night person. Scroll of fine. Be so that's it. Here you feel vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Voices from its past seem to call to you. Reach out for the soul. You see a woman emptying her satchel onto her bed, taking stock of her inventory. Potions, bandages, tinctures, and herbs are scattered throughout her room haphazardly. She bites her lip, head tilted to the side, considering. She begins to repack one item after the other. Careful deliberation undercut by shaking hands. Each item has a clearly marked place, but no matter how she repacks it, she isn't satisfied. Shaking worsens as he empties it out once more, one hand held to her mouth. Tears eke out from her eyes as she gives up all semblance of order and shoves everything she can in the satchel, ramming it and running out of the bear house. Straightening her back, she walks to the docks, chin high, eyes hard and red. The gangly young elf offers his condolences, but she can't see him for the ocean ahead of her. She wanders the docks, offering her services as a doctor to any who will listen, anyone heading out on high tide. Less than an hour later, she watches her child disappear in the distance, a tiny speck of an island, and tries not to jump. Step back. Oh. As you near, you feel the vibrant history containing the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call to you. That's interesting. Other. Oh yeah, the hut is supposed to be here. Yearbook history.
I'll have this open in no time. It's done.
Okay. Ah, that's some nice stuff. Lost some lockpicks there. I forgot. This game was funded partly by a Kickstarter event, and many contributors got an NPC in the game, and I think these Deslog Nature are some of the contributors. You guessed. Okay. We can. Oh, there's the black hound. These bones are covered in tiny bite marks. Oh, this hound stares intently at the covered window, head cocked as if waiting to hear a particular sound. It looks up when you approach and whines a low note, tail wagging slightly. Sorry, girl, don't think she's coming back. The dog whines softly again, head tilting. I think, well, you can come with me. Maybe we'll find him on the way. I like dogs. Dog's ears perk up, trots over to you and barks happily. Okay. Well. Let's go talk to the dwarven woman who was hanged. And maybe to the magistrate. Maybe he's got something to tell after good night's rest. Here. Ah, look, you now can talk to her. Caldara de Beranzi. That's all you have to say.
I have received confirmation that Lord Radric's heir was not born well. My lord has issued an injunction on all new homesteads until he can be assured that the village has been cleansed of all Aothasians and whatever other undesirables that have brought this curse upon his lands. It would be best if you left town as soon as possible. I would suggest returning to your old home. There will be no place for you here. You may stay at the inn until you can make the necessary arrangements, but I would not advise remaining long. I expect Lord Radric will be most thorough in his efforts to purify this place.
This is outrageous. I came a long way. Then you should have no problem continuing on. Trust me when I say it would be best if you were not here when Lord Radric's men are dispatched from his hold. They will be looking for anyone who might have brought the legacy upon us, whose very presence might have polluted his wife's womb. They will extinguish all possibilities. Tell me about Lord Radric. He comes from a line of nobles who have defended these lands since Aedir times. Radric II was an early supporter of their wooden independence during the Revolution, and the current Lord's father perished in the Saints' Wars. Hollowborn began appearing in the Deerwood shortly after the war's end. But Radric has taken it upon himself to purge the curse from Gilded Vale. His measures have been severe but necessary. Fortunately, it doesn't appear to have been enough to protect his heir. Saints' War? Yeah, I heard that term before. Our age's most egregious example of man's madness. 15 years ago, the people of Red Ceres decided that Waitman, their living saint, was the literal incarnation of the god Aethys. It wrinkles his pinched nose. The supposed saint took it upon herself to liberate the Deerwood, supposedly from allegiances to lesser worldly gods. But I've never known an army to conquer a land for its people's own good. The war lasted about a year, but you can guess what that year did to the worship of Aethys in Deerwood. Lord Radric's forebears had all been Aothasians, but after his father fell defending us from those fanatics, he personally saw that the temple of Aothys here in town was shut down. Points at the few ruined walls near the tree. Oh, of course. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understands our rules. I'd like to know more about Gilded Vale. We're a frontier village, as are most settlements in Deerwood. Gilded Vale hasn't grown much since its establishment in the colonial days, and the last 15 years have seen our population shrink further. It takes in the ramshackle houses and half-fallen fences, hence our recruitment of fresh settlers. Well, we're not welcome anymore. Alice snores. Indeed. Why has Gilded Vale's population been shrinking? And it must be the Hollowborn. Waitman's legacy, of course. Many women have had difficulty bearing healthy children of late. A few years ago, Lord Radric decreed that no mothers of Hollowborn are to be allowed in Gilded Vale. His mouth tightens into a firm line. His lordship dealt swiftly with the objectors. Maybe harsh, but it purges us of the curse. It's not worth it. Tell me more about those ruins behind the tree. That's what left of the temple of Aothys. His lips pucker. Lord Radric forbade worship of the dead god after the Saints' War. It's been abandoned for almost 15 years, but there are plans to rededicate it to Bareth, the god of life and death. Enough about Gilded Vale. Goodbye. Well, let's talk to her. Caldara de Beranzi. Squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bough that sags at the tuck of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head rolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it. And you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. Reach out for the woman. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out towards the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there's a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing, electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. When you open them again, she's staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in the wind. You no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives you a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear, or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
Well, she's very cheerful. Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy, then. Do not have to wander any more, no? Alas, we are here, you and I, wherever here may be.
Are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
I need to understand something that has happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there.
She nods.
You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
Let's watch her.
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair. And here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on, some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either living or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well, a wonder.
Ah, okay, that's why I can see the past lives of others. What do you mean when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprout from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Cagnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
Okay, well. One piece of the puzzle. I think as I've survived a biowac. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me, no?
Said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again. But less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
She clicks her tongue. I want to know something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Bradrick for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her balance, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord, she is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us, the best, inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins, miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid.
Okay. A lot of information in the game.
It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
What other questions? Well,
Of course, dear.
that's about it with Caldara de Beranzi.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Caldara closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over the news. Your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. Ignacio was granted the crucible of the soul. Aleph looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you alright? You seemed lost just now. Mm, this happens a lot. You have to get used to it. Folds his arms. That's good to know, but I don't suppose you could tell me what that was all about. I'm a watcher. His arched eyebrows recede into his hood. Well, that's interesting. He gives you a sly grin. Now I expect that explains how you survived the bivouac. In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about watchers? Only that they're rare and that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions and cups, as you just demonstrated. Let's continue on. Oh. So let's continue to Cat New. And another level. Second point, more athletics, lore. A little bit more stealth. Uh, okay, let's look at the abilities. That's right. Calls upon the flames of devotion, calls upon the paladins in the fire, causing your weapons to burst into flame and adding burn damage to the next super encounter. Speed instant, user full attack, fit and crush, accuracy, first reflection, plus 50% burn as burn, 20 accuracy. Zealous focus, zealous charge, zealous endurance. Well, let's flames of devotion. That sounds like a nifty ability. Okay, done. Let's look at accuracy has improved.
17.
Smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with a straw-colored hair leaning against a mossy rock wall. His pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks you directly in the eye, but the look is not aggressive. He regards you with a particular smirk.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
I'm sorry?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
What are you talking about?
The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Well, Lord Raedric has hanged 18 people. I think 18 animancers. Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What makes you think I was interested in the dwarf woman? He looks at you at a moment, his brow arched, smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. Never so much as blinked. Mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
Possible I don't drool half as much. Ah, so you're already familiar. Still, you have to forgive my curiosity. Around here we prefer to turn a blind eye to our dead. I've been out of sorts lately. Of course. We all got our bad days when we stand perfectly still and stare at corpses for a while without blinking. He winks. Do you know what a watcher is?
Careful, friend. Let's not use that word round here. Be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
You think you're going to be hanged?
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
The war? Saints War. Well, only one in my lifetime. Fella decides he's the living incarnation of Aethys, overthrows Red Cirrus, marches on Deerwood, so we gave him a Deerwood and hello. What's a Deerwood and hello?
We blew him up.
He smiles at this, but it is the smile of one recounting a joke for effect rather than enjoyment. Who is Aethys? God of rebirth and redemption. Formerly, anyhow. Maybe they call him something different where you're from. I've had other questions. I got time. Why was your headman hanged? Got involved. Raedric sent men down here the other day. Said they had it on good authority. Someone in town was working with Kolsk, plotting Raedric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang him, every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my headman, he steps up and says, it's him. They took him at his word. He sighs and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on a tree. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not for plotting against Raedric then for protecting me. Who's Kolsk? Someone who got tired of all the hangings. He's on the run now. Probably will be till they catch him. Oh, some kind of rebel. What does your town have against you?
Pick the wrong guy. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Raedric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
Galef glances at you and lowers his voice. You can see why I was eager to leave. You're next to be hanged. What are you doing? What are you still doing here? Drinking mostly. Point in fact, I'm on my way out. Just haven't figured where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there. And don't think Wetwind's legacy started with Wadewind. Oh, another companion. We could travel together. Where you headed? Some place called Cat New. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
I even remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. I don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
That's a fine reason if I ever heard one.
All right, then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
Let's get going. Bring a deer to speak with Merwald. What's your quests? After telling Adir that it was headed for Katnu to see its lord, an old watcher named Merwold, he expressed that there were things that he liked to ask Merwold as well. That's late for dinner. Much like the rest of the town, Gilded Vale's inn has seen better days. Doesn't get much business, but the inn's master chef usually draws in a small but steady amount of visitors. That is, Vale's recent disappearance during a routine trip north for supplies. The innkeeper has suggested he might have come to harm on the road through the Valewood and is seeking aid in seeing the chef safely returned. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna look what kind of character Adir is, and I'm gonna save the game. And we're gonna save the chef in part 4. And Adir is a 3rd level fighter. He's got 16 might, 16 constitution, 12 perception, 14 resolve. So, how is he damage? Primarily 15, 16 slash damage. Accuracy. He's got a saber and a shield. So basically he is our tank. Oh, and he's got a bow as well. He's armed with Saints War armor. Damage reduction 7/9. Enchant. Can we enchant already? No. 14, never. Nice looking picture. Ralof is a 2nd level wizard who's almost level 3. And I am already level 3. A mighty paladin. Alright, let's save. And in the next video we'll be saving the Master Chef of the Blackhound Inn. If you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.